Hello, my name is Hans George Campbell. Welcome to my Windows XP computer build series of videos. In part 2, I'm going to install this Pioneer DVD drive, SATA power switcher, and these two Seagate hard drives. So let's continue with my ultimate Windows XP computer build. All right, here is the Pioneer DVD drive that I am installing in my Windows XP computer. People have asked me through the years, Hans, why do you always insist on Pioneer CD-ROM drives and DVD drives? Well, the answer is simple. Pioneer invented the Laserdisc technology, so they know it better than anyone else. So whenever I need a CD-ROM drive or a DVD drive, I always choose Pioneer. Anyway, this Pioneer drive is an IDE. Many of you install a SATA DVD drive, and that's wrong. Never install a SATA DVD drive in a Windows XP computer build. You always want to go with IDE. Okay, and of course, Molex connector. Now the reason why you want to go with an IDE DVD drive is because it has the CD audio out, which is important. You hook that cable into the CD in on your Sound Blaster. And we'll take a look at my Sound Blaster card in part 4 of this series. The reason why it's important to have that CD out right there, audio out, is because a lot of the later games from the Windows 98 time period, which will also run on a Windows XP computer, and a lot of the earlier games from the Windows XP time period, they have beautiful music tracks and audio tracks and speech tracks on the actual game CD or DVD. And so if you don't use an IDE drive that has that CD audio out going into your Sound Blaster card, you will never hear any of that beautiful music or any of that sound or any of that speech. Another reason why you want to choose an IDE drive like this is because that forces you to use period correct motherboards and hardware. You're forced to use motherboards that have at least one IDE connector on them. And by doing this, that motherboard should work perfectly with Windows XP. So yeah, this is the Pioneer drive that I'm using. Very nice drive. And I thought I'd show it to you, and talk a little bit about why I chose this drive. Okay, this right here is the SATA power switcher that I'm installing in my Windows XP computer build. It allows you to turn hard drives on and off. And that's important if you plan on using multiple versions of Windows. Like I plan on having my main hard drive, the Windows XP hard drive, on SATA 1 or SATA 0. It starts at 0. Okay, my Windows, I'm thinking about installing Windows Vista because I've always wanted to try Windows Vista. And this computer should be powerful enough to run Windows Vista. So I'm thinking about putting Windows Vista on the second hard drive. Okay, and then later on I'm going to add 2 more hard drives for storage, for backup. Okay, because this computer, my Windows XP computer, is mainly going to be using for doing playthroughs of PC games from the Windows XP time period. And those games will be shown on my Disk-Based Games YouTube channel. Okay, and all of those videos I want to have backed up to these hard drives right here. That's going to be on this computer. And also, of course, I'll back up each video to its own DVD. So, yeah, I do backups on DVD and on backup hard drives. But yeah, this is a SATA power switcher. The SATA power cable, and that's weird. I don't know if it's purposely broken there. No, it's not. Okay. Anyway, the SATA power cable plugs into here from the power supply, right? And then I might as well go ahead and plug them in. You have these cables here, okay? They plug in like that, and then that connector there goes into your hard drive. And I might as well go ahead and plug in the other one, because I know I'm going to have at least 2 hard drives hooked up. So, yeah. Okay, so this cable will go to the second hard drive, the second Seagate hard drive. And then when I get ready to plug in, install the other 2 hard drives, I can plug their cables in here. Okay. These are the Seagate hard drives that I'm installing in my computer. They're 250 gigabytes each. That's plenty of space for a Windows XP hard drive. And the other hard drive is the same Seagate, 250 gigs, and that should be plenty of space for a Windows Vista hard drive, So yeah, I just thought I'd show you the Seagate hard drives that I'm using. These are SATA hard drives. They're very nice, very high quality, but they are fast and they tend to run hot, and that's the reason why I wanted to have fans blowing air across the surface of these hard drives to help dissipate that heat and keep these hard drives running nice and cool. And if you have these hard drives set up that way, these hard drives will last for 20, 30 years. They will last a very long time. So yeah, these are the hard drives that I'm using. A lot of you use 10,000 RPM, or faster. I don't like to use hard drives that fast because they really run hot. And they don't tend to last as long as the 7200 RPM hard drives. The slower the speed of the hard drives, the less heat it generates, and the longer the hard drive lasts. So whenever possible, I actually try to get hard drives that are around between 4800 RPM and 5400 RPM, around that speed. Because then, the hard drive is plenty fast enough, and yet it is slow enough to not generate as much heat as a 7200 RPM hard drive. But the slower hard drives like this, especially SATA, they're getting very hard to find now. Now, if it's IDE, oh yeah, you can still find the slower hard drives. And those hard drives will definitely last probably the rest of your life. They'll last a long time, especially if they're fan-cooled, All right. So, let me get my 4 screws over there so I have them. Let me get my screwdriver ready to go. So I've got it. And then I want to have the hard drive sort of like in the middle. Shit. Don't do that, Mr. Kimball. Sort of like yeah, like right there. Yeah, right in the middle of each fan. So right there would be good. Right about there. That'd be good. Now you don't tighten them until you get all four of them in. You don't tighten them until you get all four of them in. So, let me move that back a little bit. Damn it. Stop dropping the screws, Mr. Campbell. And, okay, we got that one in there. Like that. And, okay, now that all four of them are in, I can go ahead and tighten it. And you just snug it. That's it. Just snug it. Okay, those are snug. Okay. All right. Now for the next, second hard drive, that will be my Windows Vista hard drive. And yes, I'm going to be doing a whole series of videos about Windows Vista. Is it as bad as most people say it is? I don't think so. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that Windows Vista is the most beautiful of all versions of Windows. If somebody was to ask me, Hans, what do you think is the most beautiful version of Windows? I would have to say Windows Vista. Oh yeah, definitely. You see, what a lot of people don't realize is that Windows 7 is actually Windows Vista. Microsoft just decided to rename Vista to Windows 7 after they worked out the bugs. And they revised it a little bit. You know, they updated it. But Windows 7 is actually Windows Vista. That's what a lot of people don't realize. This is the reason why on a lot of like hardware it says for Windows Vista /7, because they're basically the exact same thing. Now, when Microsoft released Windows 7, they toned down the beauty of Windows Vista. They toned it down. Like the beautiful arrow themes and that beautiful sparkly looking windows, you know, and the eye candy and stuff like that. They removed a lot of that in Windows 7 because they realized that a lot of people still did not have the hardware to run all that. That required a very powerful computer to run Windows Vista the way it should be run. And so, but this computer has the hardware to do it. It will run Windows Vista with no problems. No problems at all. So I am going to install Windows Vista on this second hard drive here. And in later, you know, in future episodes, we will take a close look at Windows Vista. Was it really as bad as people claim it to be? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I'm really going to love Windows Vista. I just got that feeling. I'm really going to love that version of Windows. I think Windows Vista got a bad rap. I really did. I think it got a bad rap, a bad reputation, because most people, when Vista was released, most people, and even companies, they didn't have the hardware to run Windows Vista. They just didn't have the hardware. Windows Vista was that awesome. That's the way I look at it. Windows Vista was that awesome. It was so awesome that most people did not have the proper hardware to run it. Okay. So let me tighten up the other screws, and the hard drive for Windows Vista will be installed. Okay, both of these hard drives are going to be drive C, because I'll turn only one on at a time when I format it and install its version of Windows. And so that forces these drives, each one of these drives, to be drive C. All right. All right, now it's time to install the SATA power switcher. Yeah, and I might also go ahead and install the Pioneer DVD drive too. So, all right, this will go down in here and make sure it's still recording. Okay, make sure it's still recording, Mr. Campbell. All right, and we're gonna put that baby in there like that. It should slide right in. I think I remember when I installed this before in one of these cases, it was kind of a tight fit. I had problems putting it in, but I don't know, it should be okay. Like that. Yeah, it should be okay like that. And yeah, it should be okay like that. Those, I think that requires the smaller screws. So I won't need the large screwdriver. My small number 2 Phillips from Germany should work just fine. I'm going to need tweezers. Okay, so I got that. Yeah. Got that one. I got that one. And this one. Yeah, I think these will work. And, okay. So, remember, put them all in first. Do not put one in and then tighten it. Put the other one in and tighten it. No, put them all in first, loose. Then tighten. Like that. Okay, then tighten. So, all right. So you got that like that. I'm thinking that I might want to like I think that should be pretty good. Just like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as it looks nice. As long as it's semi-perfect, I'm happy with that. So, let's go ahead and tighten these babies. And that will be, it should be pretty good. Yeah. Now you just snug these. These are fine thread screws. You can very easily strip them. So you just, I use a small number 2 like this. It's a German screwdriver. These are really nice. But this is all the torque you need for those small fine thread screws. Do not use the full-size number 2 Phillips on these. And definitely never use a powered screwdriver for assembling PCs, or any computer for that matter, assembling or disassembling. And I see so many of you doing that, using powered screwdrivers for working on vintage computers. Don't do that. Don't be so damn stupid and so damn lazy. Use normal screwdrivers. Don't use powered screwdrivers. Also, I noticed something else. Many of you have not invested in a proper set of screwdrivers. You buy these kits where it basically has one handle and you have all these different size tips that plug into the handle. If you have a kit like that, throw it in the garbage. Yes, you heard that right. Throw that piece of crap in the garbage. And buy yourself, invest in a good set of screwdrivers. Don't be cheap. Don't be lazy. Okay, so that's the SATA power switcher. I think it looks good. It's in there. All right. All right. So what we want to do now. Oh my God! Get all this stuff out of here. Oh my God, man. Get all this out of here. Get this out of here. We want these. I want to make sure they plug into the correct hard drive. So this one will plug in right. Okay, is it not in there? Yeah. Okay, that one I want to make sure. Okay, that's the first one, the top one. That's my Windows XP hard drive. Okay, and this one will go in like, well, okay. Is it supposed to go in like this? Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so that goes into that one. That's my Windows Vista hard drive. Okay. And then we have this one. Jesus, definitely have to do some cable management with this. SATA connector. I only need one of them actually. I mean, so I'm thinking that I'll have a wire tied like that, but I don't know. I don't think it really matters. Just do it like this. And that will go into... It's easier if you do this before you put this thing in. I didn't do it. Okay, so that doesn't go like that. It goes like that, I think. Shit. Okay, so it does go in like this. Alright. That's fine. Okay, so that's plugged in. Okay, that's plugged in like that. I'll wire tie all that eventually so it doesn't pull out of there. All these nylon wire ties. So the hard drives are hooked up to the power switcher. And the power switcher is hooked up to the power supply. So yeah, we got all that done. Man, look at all this. Trying to get it, put these together so I can turn the case around. Okay, so when I come back, I'll install the Pioneer DVD drive. Alright, let's get this beautiful Pioneer DVD drive installed, okay? Pioneer, the inventor of the laser disc technology. Pioneer. There we go, boys and ghouls. Boys and ghouls! Look at that, is that nice? Nothing but the best for my ultimate Windows XP computer. Alright, so I'm going to put this side in first. These screws in first. Let's see, we're going to have to pull that shit down like that. Okay. Oh, I forgot. This wire's up there. Oh my god, what the fuck? Okay, I see what's going on. Alright. That's fine, man. That's fine. Okay, let's put those screws in there, shall we? Now, on these drives, it's important that the screws are not too long. If they're too long, you're going to have problems. You can actually mess up the mechanism. So make sure they're not too long. I probably should have done this off camera, but it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. There we go. I think they're all the right size screws. And we'll go ahead and install these babies. Remember, don't tighten any of them until you get all 4 of them in. Just like that. And okay, so all right. Okay, so those screws are in. I think I can put away my tools. Yeah, I can put away my tools. I always put away my tools when I'm done. And you should too. Put away your tools when you're done. Okay, so now what I want to do, okay, pull all this stuff out. What in the fuck? One big thing of spaghetti, man, I'm telling you. Oh my god. Pull this out, pull these babies out. And what I'm looking for is the MOEX cable, and I'm thinking that, okay, I have the fans plugged in, but I'm thinking unplug the, oh wait, unplug these babies, because I decided I want to do it in a different way. Okay, get this one out of the way. these. What the hell? Oh man, what the fuck? Okay, like that's good. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to do some cable management here. Okay, so to give me more slack, I'm going to plug this in like this. Yeah, get this damn thing out of the fucking way. Wow. Okay. Hold on to the front of the drive and you plug this bitch in so it doesn't push on it. Okay, so that's in there. So my DVD drive now has power. Alright, and then the cable for the fans. Get this damn thing out of the way. Oh my god, man. Okay, the cable for the fans. They'll go like this. Yeah. And I'll wire tie all that and make it look pretty. So don't you worry about that. It'll all be wire tied and it'll look really pretty. It'll look so pretty. So, okay, so that's hooked up. Yeah. Well, that's it for part 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for part 3, which will be uploaded real soon. But before I end this video, I wanted to tell you a story of how I discovered that Seagate made the best hard drives. About 25 years ago, between 25 and 30 years ago, I worked for a company in Beaverton, Oregon that designed and manufactured the spindle motors and the stepper motors for hard drives. And we made these motors for all of the different hard drive manufacturers. And I was an engineer's assistant at that time. And my job was to, the engineer would give me parameters that he needed for me to enter into this computer that would simulate the spindle motors and the stepper motors in different hard drive configurations. I would enter in these parameters and then I would do a printout of the results. Now the program would have to run all night. So I would set it up before I went home, and the next morning when I got into work, I would do the printout of the results and give them to the engineer. During the daytime, I worked in assembly, where I assembled, I was one of the only people in the entire world that had the skill to do this particular job. And what it was I had to solder on very fine wires to a white plastic disc, I say about the size of a quarter, or a nickel, about 1 inch in diameter. It was a real thin plastic white disc. And the soldering had to be well wetted, well flowed, smooth and shiny, without warping or melting that low temperature thin plastic disc. I was one of the only people in the entire world that could do this job. It required that precise of electronics assembler, or that precise soldering. Of course, I was used to doing this kind of work because I worked on military contracts where I had to solder fine coils and parts for the warheads of missiles that were used by the military. So I was used to doing fine detail work like, fine detail soldering and stuff like this, But that's what I did during the daytime for this company. And then about an hour or two before I went home at night, I usually had to report to engineering department like around 2 o'clock. I went home at 3:30. So, and then the engineer, he would give me the parameters that he needed for me to enter into the computer to simulate the hard drive motors, And then, of course, the next morning when I got in at 7, I would go right to engineering, print out the results, and I would give them to the engineer that I worked under. And I reported to assembly. Another interesting story was one day I came into work. It's the same company. And I said hello to this guy because I kind of felt sorry for him. For some reason, nobody at the company liked him. I was surprised that he was still working there. So I tried to, be his friend, be friendly, maybe he needed a friend or something, So one morning I came in, and keep in mind, he was sales. I'm engineering and technical, which is over sales. Okay? And I said hello to him that morning, and he was real rude to me. I could have reported him to HR, and they would have fired him immediately. Sales, do not be rude. You do not be rude to engineering staff or people that are in the technical department, because we make the stuff that the company sells. And because of this, we're over sales. And you just don't conduct yourself like that. To technical staff. But I let it slide. I allowed myself to think that maybe he was just having a bad day or a bad morning. So I didn't think nothing of it, I just continued on the engineering to do what I had to get done. The engineer that I worked under, he took his lunch break between 12 and 1 o'clock. And I waited for him to get back to take my lunch break. I took my lunch break between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, that same day that I had problems with this guy that morning, that same day, apparently, just before I got back from lunch, he had a nervous breakdown and he basically went crazy. But what he didn't realize is that there was a camera that was mounted in the corner of the room that recorded everything he did. Now, when I got back from lunch, I had to walk through there to get the engineering and also to my assembly area, right? And so I asked the brunette, you'll see the brunette that I talked to in the video. She was wearing a black dress. I asked her, well, what the hell happened here? She said, oh, Hans, this guy that you had problems with this morning, he went crazy. I mean, he did all this. I said, oh my God, are you serious? And so later on that afternoon, Human Resources called me in and said, hey, did you have problems with so-and-so this morning? I said, yeah, he was kind of rude to me, but I chose not to say anything about it. Maybe he was having a bad day or something, And the Human Resource Manager said, okay, we were hurt about that. But we had to let him go because we can't have people conducting contact like that. I mean, doing what he did, Well, anyway, all these years later, some of the videos, one of the things that I do while I'm having my dinner at night, I'm sitting in front of my computer, is I'm on YouTube, and I like to watch, brutal Russian car crash videos. Well, I love watching those. Or I like to watch, Road Rage USA. Man, I tell you, these people here in the United States cannot drive, especially in California, Texas, Florida, and Washington. Those are the 4 worst states for drivers. Trust me when I tell you that. And other types of videos I like to watch is stressed out office workers, doing crazy stuff. Well, one evening I was watching that kind of a video where they show one scene after the next of people losing their mind because they're stressed out in their office job, you know. And I was watching this video. I stopped eating, and my mouth dropped open. I said, oh my God. That's that company I used to work for. Oh my God. I recognize the blue carpet and the light gray walls. Yeah, I worked there at this part. Oh my God, that's that guy I had problems with. Oh my God. So that's what happened when I was at lunch. This guy went crazy. Well, I got a hold of that video. And now I present to you this video. So watch it and you leave a comment, you know, what do you think about this video? You know, but this is the kind of stuff that I had to go through when I worked in the electronics industry for as long as I did. I went through a lot of stuff like this as line coordinator. I had to deal with stressed out people like this. But anyway, watch the clip. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it. But yeah, I had to walk through that area in order to get to engineering. Okay, so I walked through there. I had to walk through the sales department every day. And so when I got back from lunch, because this happened apparently just before I got back from lunch. And so when I got back from lunch that afternoon, I walked through the sales department and I see all this. Say, oh my God, what the hell happened here? And the woman that you saw in the video, the brunette wearing the black dress, she told me what happened. Yeah. But anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will have part 3 of this series up real soon, within the next 7 days, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, my name is Hans George Campbell, and I'll see you then.